What Shenzhen is most famous for is its giant skyscrapers. That's always what comes to mind when people think of this city. But there's actually a lot more to it than that. But during this trip to Shenzhen, we want to see a little bit more of what lies underneath all the skyscrapers. There's a lot of traditional culture here, and we're excited to explore it.
今天我们准备看一下客家人是怎么过春节的，走吧。
This building that I'm in right now is called a citang. It's kind of like a Buddhist temple, but it's for remembering and worshiping your ancestors. So everyone has come to the citang today to bring their offerings. The exact things that people bring as offerings vary based on the family and the village. For example, when I was out walking on the street, I saw people giving chickens to the ancestors, but for this particular family, they prefer to use geese, and not just the goose meat, but all the entrails as well. The whole thing goes to the ancestors, and lots of alcohol. Their ancestors apparently really like to drink, and fruit. Tangerines are pretty important for the New Year's celebration in this part of China. You can see outside of a lot of buildings, there's little bushes with tangerines all over them. It's like the must-have New Year's decoration, I guess kind of like the equivalent of a Christmas tree in the US. Another essential festivity is firecrackers. The loud noise from the firecrackers was traditionally to keep evil spirits away. And believe me, it is very loud. If you weren't prepared that it was coming, it will scare the heck out of you. I met these two really friendly guys in the citang, and they showed me some old photos of this village back before everybody moved into apartment buildings. Now the village is mostly preserved as a historical relic, and people do still visit the citang for all these different types of cultural activities. One of these guys actually offered for us to come home with him and see how the tradition is done in the house. Because once you are done at the citang, you take everything back to your own living room, and then you continue to make offerings to the ancestors. But this time, it's specifically for ancestors that are more closely related to you, as opposed to being just members of the family in general. What he's doing here is burning all kinds of different symbolic items to provide to the ancestors in the afterlife, like gold and money, peace, prosperity, and one I found really funny, which is US dollars. The ancestors are getting rich up there.
Now it's time to light the incense, and he's gonna bow in every direction while holding it.
Again with the alcohol, so apparently the ancestors of this family really like to drink, but they're having some tea to balance it out, so it's okay. While we were at the citang, I told Mr. Chen that one of the things I really wanted to see, since I was in China for Lunar New Year for the first time, was a lion dance. So he invited me to the lion dance that was being performed in his neighborhood. Kind of similar to the purpose of the firecrackers, the lion dance scares away evil spirits. Just like how the evil spirits hate the sound of firecrackers, they also hate the really loud banging of the gongs and the drums that are going on in the background throughout this whole performance. And of course, there are tangerines everywhere as well. So here the lion is coming around and delivering tangerines to the audience members. Everyone has their hand outstretched, waiting for a tangerine to be delivered. Chinese people really love symbolism, so getting a tangerine may seem like a simple thing, but in this particular performance, it symbolizes a blessing for the new year. This guy here is feeding the lion a red envelope, and red envelopes are used as a way to gift cash to other people, so it's kind of like giving the lion a tip, like bring me some extra luck for the new year. So you might have noticed that there's some spring onions and lettuce kind of hanging all around the set that the lions are going to be dancing on. And there's all kinds of different explanations for why. I asked Mr. Chen, and the explanation that he gave me was that, one, it represents green. So it's kind of like a new beginning or a new start as the new year is blossoming in front of us. The second explanation he gave was that it's a play on words because the word for vegetable and the word for wealth sound very similar. So hanging these vegetables, and then later when the lion will grab the vegetables, is kind of like a reference to gaining wealth in the upcoming year. The movements of the lions are so perfectly choreographed, even down to the little butt shake that this lion keeps doing. The red and yellow guys are a really professional team that are invited to come to different neighborhoods and do this dance. But this neighborhood also has their kind of local miniature lion dance troupe. But it's not actually a lion, it's a different creature called a qilin, which is kind of like a Chinese mythical beast. So their team is actually trying to teach this tradition to the children. So you can see there's like a tiny baby qilin, which has kids in it that are still learning. And then there's the bigger one, which is the adult qilin. So now the qilin and the lions are going to say goodbye, and the performance is over. Check out those ceiling heads. That is really amazing craftsmanship. If you've seen any of my other videos, you know that one of my favorite things in China is villages or countryside culture, so to speak. And although Shenzhen is such a mega metropolis, you would think it's almost impossible to find anything like that. We were still able to find some small villages that have been preserved within the city itself. And just walking around these places, you can really feel that Lunar New Year energy, I guess, because you can see the red scraps all over the ground from where people were setting off firecrackers. It almost feels like fall, like red leaves everywhere. And every house has these papers hanging outside their door with all kinds of different things written on them that are blessings for the new year.
These villages have been able to be preserved so well because
they've been kind of taken over by artists. In a lot of the country, there's a trend of people leaving rural areas for cities because they want a more comfortable lifestyle, which is understandable, but it's also a shame to completely let go of the country's rural roots. There's a lot of really beautiful, interesting culture here. Not to mention the architecture. It's just really unique, you know, it's very China-specific, unlike in cities where things often start to look the same after a while. So artists are able to find inspiration in these quiet, serene, beautiful, kind of culturally rich areas. And because the artists have come here and turned this into a kind of art paradise, it also draws tourists. And the tourists come and then they'll buy art and they'll participate in workshops and they'll bring attention to this place. And the place will continue to be taken care of and it will continue to be maintained. So it's kind of this happy cycle where these villages are able to survive because of artists, and artists are able to make better work because they have this really inspiring, peaceful place that they can stay in. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed some nice countryside aesthetics. I wish you all a happy Lunar New Year. See you next time.